I said you start the
Not
episode.
the matching us blinking and like the hey, hello. I'm gonna start really. We never do this, but we're gonna start right off the top. Welcome back to Read Between the Blue Lines. I'm Bree. That's Ken's over there. I don't think have ever introduced ourselves
In the
right
first
off the top
minute?
of an
No.
episode ever, but we did it today. It's fine. We are gonna start, I guess, Stanley Cup Final. There isn't a whole lot to dig into,
Like
minus
there
the
is,
fact
but there
that
isn't.
the NHL saw the PWHL and are copying their homework,
Yeah.
basically. Although not as dramatic. Like we have not had more than two overtimes yet, but
No, but
two games in a
it's
row.
making it more fun.
It is, and it's not, what's the word I'm looking for? Like predictable is the wrong thing, but kind of like that. Do you know what I mean? I don't
No.
know. But it's tied. By the time you guys listen to this, game one might have happened already. Game one's Monday night.
Game three?
One, three, 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 three. You're right. Guys, they all went together. I'm so sorry.
I was like, girly pop, what?
No, but in my head I'm thinking it's tied 1-1. And then I'm like, yeah. Anyway,
It's technically now a best of five. You are correct.
very true. Anyway, it'll be game three, which is the first one in Florida, will be Monday night. I'm so sorry that I don't know not even what day it is, but what game we're on anymore. Um, yeah, it's been exciting. I don't really know. There's like it's very different from last year already,
Yeah, I
which
will
is good.
say Oilers look a lot stronger
Yeah,
this
which
year
thank
in the
God.
front. Um, Also, I think that the biggest takeaway from the last two games is that Brad Marchand is
I
going
was
to
gonna say
be a hot topic in free
yes.
agency if he
I
does not
also think
re-sign in Florida.
we actually were kind of talking about it today at work that like I'm not speaking this into existence, but if Florida were to win, does Brad Marchand get or I'm so sorry, I don't ever know how to say his name anymore. Marchand, whatever. Do you give him the Conn Smythe? Like is he your Conn Smythe candidate for the Panthers if they
He's
win?
top three.
Okay. Top 3. But I feel like most people aren't like considering it at all. And I'm like, but
No, I would definitely say he's
that's
top three on the Panthers.
okay, valid. So you see, like I do, because I feel like so many people are just like, he's
But I would argue right now my front runner for the whole thing is Stuart Skinner.
win or lose.
Right now, yeah, depending on how
Ooh,
the rest,
okay.
as of the first two games,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, but it's so valid though, because not that I've said this before, like you don't need a stellar goaltender to win, but like if he isn't putting the games up that he is, the Oilers would be struggling a lot more than they
Well,
are, even
that's
though they're more well-rounded this year, but
I know,
he's keeping them
yeah.
in more than you think.
I know that like there were obviously Florida scored 5 goals on Friday,
But it's only five
but
goals.
that being said, like your your offense needs to be as good as your goalie, and your goalie needs to be as
Mm,
good as your offense in the sense of like if your offense can produce 4 goals and your goalie can let in four,
yeah.
or if your offense can produce five, your goalie can let in four.
Yep.
But the reason that we got as far into double overtime as we did is that,
Stuart Skinner.
well, like, listen, the Oilers had great like chances and like a strong production like opportunity during the first two overtimes or during the overtimes.
Yeah.
But like
The multiples.
there were breakaways, there were real like Florida had, I would say, better opportunities when they had the opportunity, whereas Edmonton just had more opportunities, and those good opportunities that
Like the
Florida had were
quality
completely
over quantity.
thwarted, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
by
yeah, yeah.
Skinner, obviously until the Marchand goal, which I saw him get the puck and I was like, fine, I guess. And then he
We
scored.
knew
And
it
I
was
was like,
gonna happen.
you.
Yeah. I'm kind of interested, like I know we can't obviously know this because he's obviously on the team, but like if they didn't get Marchand, like what I feel like the Panthers would be just like not dead in the water, but they wouldn't be
I think
as
that he
good.
brings a
It's like
certain
the
like
energy.
vibe to the locker
Yeah.
room that I think is really helping them through what I think they thought was going to be an easier playoff
Oh
run.
yeah.
Not that they have super duper struggled necessarily, but like I think like that 7 game series against
Tor
Boston need not Boston,
Toronto.
Toronto, sorry.
I was like, wait,
Um,
we don't know what's going
I'm
on.
tired. It's been a
Listen,
long
I said
weekend.
game one was tomorrow, so we're all in the same boat. We're all in the same
But
boat.
like the fact that they went 7 games with Toronto, I think what like could have shaken
Tired
that
him out.
team so completely that they wouldn't have been able to do anything against Carolina. And I think
Yeah.
that it does speak to like the culture in the locker room a little bit that like, and I think that Marchand is a big piece of that, especially when you look at how he speaks to the media. Like I think that
hmm
that was good for
I
them.
also think the most iconic part of all this is the Dairy Queen trips that I never in my life would I think about eating Dairy Queen before playing a sport like that, but we love that, and I hope he gets a Dairy Queen sponsorship of some kind because I feel like
He
that would be
should. Yeah.
iconic. But yeah, it's tied. Game three is Monday. I can't even say there's like an obvious winner because it literally goes back and forth on like by plays where one team looks really good and the other team doesn't, and then the opposite. But
Well, we had both said Oilers in 6 before the
true,
series
it's
started.
still
So
it could go to six,
I
so
think
it's still possible.
I said though I prefer the Oilers to win in 5 or 7 because this way it's like more fun for them
Yeah,
to win at home. But the Corgi said Oilers in 7.
the corgi was wrong about
I don't care.
what was the one that?
No, the Corgi was right about the one I wanted them to be wrong about.
Yeah, but there was one that I was like, oh, was it the Leafs? It might have been the Leafs.
Oh, yeah,
Because I'm
they were
thinking
wrong about that
in
one too.
seven, I was like, I have full faith in that corgi, and the Leafs lost, which is
Yeah,
fine.
but it's the Leafs.
Yeah, I know.
The Oilers, I feel like
But
actually
at
have
the
a better
time,
chance. I don't know.
yeah, let's go. And yeah, that also brings up the point you made about free agency, like Marchand. This is like something that I don't know if it even really counts because now it's like age and the players that are his age are still playing that and doing and playing well
Hmm.
relatively. But I think I don't know if that becomes a leading name in the clubhouse for who lands him. If it's like one of those like where they like brand them as like sweepstakes, like whoever's gonna get Marner and whoever's gonna get whatever. Um, but it'll be interesting. I saw someone today make a point that they were like, "Who would you pay? Would you pay?" It was like 8.5 for either Sam Bennett or Marchand, like Bennett for like 8 years or Marchand for 3, and everybody in the replies was like, Marchand for 3, and I was like, okay, I guess I get it, but we'll see. That's a ways off, and I guess the rest of the series might determine that, but we'll see.
I just think that he's done a really good job this playoff run,
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
making a good case for himself. Whether
I
he
just
stays in Florida or he doesn't, it's a good
add,
contract booster for him.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still like not used to him being in Florida. Like we're always like drawing back to like, yeah, nope, different team, same division, not the same team. It's just not comprehending in my head yet, even though it's been like 3 months. It's okay. But that is pretty much it. There hasn't been anything. Oh, Stanley Cup was on over the weekend. I don't know if you watched that. They had it on
I
at
was
work
busy.
while I was on air, and I like watched 95% of it while I was supposed to be paying attention to my own show. They had cute puppies on the screen, so I don't know what else I was
Yeah.
supposed to do.
And that is why I didn't put it on while I was working on a memo, because
But it was
otherwise,
so cute. So
yeah,
I was having my best time. But
I'm so glad
why? Glad of
that you
what?
had a good time with the
Oh, yeah,
puppies.
but then at the same time, I'm like, I want all of them. Actually, 95% of them are adopted. I haven't checked since it happened, but I was like, no, I want to take them all home. I can't physically do that. But in my head, in like the world where I own a farm with all these animals, that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
But that's that. It's about all the interesting stuff that's happening, at least in the NHL side, which is
Well,
pales in comparison
well, the good transition
to
there,
what
I
we're
guess,
going to talk
is
about.
speaking of Boston captains who are no longer playing for Boston.
True.
Um, Hillary Knight, you are a PWHL Seattle.
For a
We don't
second, I
have
thought
a
you were going to
name
say
for you.
Kraken. I was like, no, Kens. No.
Yeah, not quite.
Close
Although I
enough.
will say on the NHL side about the Seattle Kraken, if they fire Jess, I'm going to riot.
Yeah,
So,
I think they're
Nope, no,
Leaving
nope.
it
Just
alone.
leave
No,
it
no. So
alone.
I mean, I think they've like they're done doing things.
I hope so.
Anyway, yeah, I almost called it free agency. The exclusive signing window for the expansion teams of PWHL Vancouver and PWHL Seattle. I forgot how much of a mouthful that is to say.
Yeah.
Um, Closed over what? I don't Friday-ish. It was
Well,
last week.
technically it closed. I think technically it's still open, or it's like just closed this
No, I
morning.
think it would be today because
Yeah.
they filled their spots before it officially ended, so it basically ended when the spots were filled. But
Yes.
both teams have picked 5 players that were not protected. 4 of the 6 existing teams have protected a fourth player. 2 of them have not because they have only lost one player. And then again, by the time you guys hear this on Monday, the actual expansion draft will be happening and they will be continuing to fill out their rosters until they meet that number and then they move to the actual entry draft, which
Yes.
is later this month.
So
So,
they're
but
gonna,
they each have their 5.
yeah, they're gonna get 7 more apiece.
Yeah, which
Um,
I like I don't understand. And I know it works out, but like I don't understand how I the inaugural 6 because that's what they're called. I don't understand how any of them come out of it with a semi decent roster left. Like it doesn't seem feasible to me when I was looking at those lists and I was like, who is going to be left? Who?
I
I,
can tell you who's not
who?
making it to the playoffs next year.
I so this is my I thought about this the other day too when we were talking about the 5 that Vancouver and Seattle got, and I don't want to say it's like the equivalent of the Golden Knights, but if one of those teams wins the cup next year,
It feels like
it
it.
will be the same exact like we are gonna hate or people or fans or whoever are gonna hate Vancouver or Seattle for coming in, winning in their first year and being like, hey, we've been here and we gave you our players to do that and we have nothing to show for it. And that's gonna just
Yeah.
create like a I hate the word hatred, resentment
Resentment.
maybe. Yeah, to be like, why did you get the benefit when I didn't?
Yeah.
Which
Well,
that's like way down the road if that's what were to happen. But I had that same thought where I was like, it's setting this up to be almost exactly the same in
yeah.
a way from what we know.
So, just in case you aren't aware, um, the PWHL Vancouver first 5 players consist of Sophie Jakes,
Hmm.
defense, Jen Gardner, forward, Sarah Nurse, forward, Emmy Massmeyer,
Mashmeyer.
Mashmeyer,
Yeah.
goalie, and Claire Thompson on defense.
Hmm.
And then the PWHL Seattle first 5 players are Danielle Serdachny, forward, Alex Carpenter, forward, Hillary Knight, forward, Kayla Barnes, defense, and Corinne Schroeder, goalie. I'm terrified of both of those teams. More
Yeah.
so Seattle, I think, because Serdachny, Carpenter, and Knight is a horrifying concept.
Yeah, and I think at first, initially when we were finding out, I was like, oh my God, Vancouver was like the fact they put Thompson and you said Jake's, right? Are we going with
I
Jake's?
think it's
Jake's? Yeah.
Jake's.
We're going with that's how I'm gonna say it. Those were Minnesota's 2 best defenders, and now the fact that not only Minnesota lost them, but now that Vancouver had them, I was like, that's terrifying in itself because you know what they're capable of together, or like on one team. But
Well,
forward wise,
yeah.
Seattle, the chemistry is gonna be like terrifying.
Yeah.
And that's if
Yep.
they all play together. Even if they don't play all together, it's a little terrifying. But if they do, I'll just
I'll
step off the ice.
I'm
I
gonna
don't
tell
want to be
you
against you.
that potential power play unit right there, like those
Also
4 with
terrifying.
another forward,
I can't even.
and then Corinne and goal. Ooh.
No, no.
Ooh.
Like you're never. They're gonna like probably set a record for like the most or the least amount of jailbreak goals against them ever because nobody's ever gonna be able to score
Oh my God, yeah.
against like on the PK against their power play. Like it's just
Yep.
to say it's my. But see, but this is like the conversation where the only team where I feel like I want to say that quote unquote core is still intact is Montreal. I
Yeah.
don't know how Montreal got away. Well, Montreal was smart. That's how they got away with it. They knew what they were doing.
But I don't
Let's
know how Ambrose didn't go.
no that, but I'm also like they lost um Barnes, which is a loss, and then and who am I missing?
Gardner.
Garden. Yeah. So like those are two losses, but if you're looking at difference in their roster from like inaugural season to third year, it's almost exactly the same. Well, in terms of your core players,
Yeah.
everybody Minnesota, I don't like I know we're all like, "Oh my God, their reign of terror, they're doing everything." They I think are going I know we've also talked about how much New York fumbled the bag here, but I also think Minnesota didn't think their process through the same way, and I think that's going to hurt them in the long run.
I will say
But
Boston not protecting Knight, there needed to be something going on behind the scenes there that like it didn't work or like she wanted to go
yeah,
or
or
whatever.
like
Like,
just yeah.
because I
Also,
think
she's
that
only there
not
in
protecting
one.
Knight was silly on their part, like statistics wise.
Yeah.
As far as Micah Zandyhart and Kendall Coyne Schofield being protected as the captains of their teams, I don't get it. I don't think anyone was going to necessarily take either of them because they're not
No.
superstars.
I think,
Um,
but I think the point. I get it. I guess I get Kendall in the sense of like we were talking about the name recognition. She has that name recognition, so I don't know if they would have been like, "I'm going to take you to get people to come to our games here," but also it's not worth wasting a spot to get a player just for the reason of putting them in a seat. You want a good hockey team, which is how you get people to come to your games.
I get Kendall way more
So
than I get Zandyhart.
yeah, I
And I
there was
love
a
Micah, but
few.
it's not, it's a weird decision.
I'm trying to think of the other one that like boggled my mind too. It was maybe Ottawa. Someone did something, and I was like, "What are we doing?" But New York has the. I don't know what they're doing. I wish I did know.
Well, New York
Um,
lost their second best
I
forward
I fear that
and their goaltender.
there's going to like I don't know,
I'm just happy that Shelton and Levy will get
but
to stay together, except Levy's a free agent, so who knows where she's going.
yeah, and
So,
I just don't I don't know. But that's what I don't. That's why I'm like I people have had their gripes about the way they've done like the way the league set up the expansion rules and how it's all working, which I guess I do get. But at the same time, you you can't be mad at the league when your team doesn't do what they were supposed to do correctly. Like
I'm
that
not
was
mad at the league. I think that four
no, no, no.
protections would have been nice because
I
out
also
of
think
a
that.
23-person
Yeah,
roster, you can only protect three, and only four people are leaving. I feel like we should have been able to protect four.
I agree. That would have made more sense in the long run.
And like I know people
And
were like, you should have like let New York protect more, which I kind of agree with, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't. I will say
yeah, but then
though,
it would everybody be like, "That's unfair," which,
yeah, I know.
yeah, but
I will say I don't. I I know that in my head I said that it should have been like New York, Boston, Vancouver,
oh,
Seattle,
the
whatever, and
draft.
then the
Yeah,
other
yeah.
ones.
The
At
other
this
ones,
point, well,
everyone
the other
else.
four, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
At this point, I'm gonna say it should go in reverse order, and then it should go Vancouver and Seattle.
You say
They
no
don't need
gold
more.
plan.
They don't
That's
need.
it.
They don't need it. They're okay. They don't need the top three
Yeah, that's
picks. They're
like,
fine.
and that's why I don't like when we were talking about it before anything happened. I was like, I really don't think they can build again because of the cap and the money situation. You can't really build a superstar team,
They seem to be
but
figuring it out.
they are doing it in the sense of like they're getting they're putting together rosters and well and like good enough that I minus Montreal and depending on who Toronto and Boston lose as like their next three players before the rest, I don't know any of the other teams that are going to outperform them. Minus
I
Montreal might stay where they are, but like I don't see well Ottawa actually I keep forgetting about Ottawa. I'm so sorry.
I
They might
will
be okay.
say I think Ottawa's still in a good spot.
Yeah.
I will say that yes, these first five players are horrifying.
Yeah.
And if that was if you had 3 minutes of hockey and those were the five people on the ice,
Mm-hmm.
you
You're done.
win.
Yeah.
Congratulations. However, it is a 60-minute game. You have 23 people on your roster, and just because you have five superstars, we
Yeah.
can go look at the Rangers. Their top
Well,
six, fantastic.
yeah.
Their D has been okay. Their goalie, great. They missed the playoffs this year. And so I think that I'm trying to like remind myself that just because you have five really great players does
Mm-hmm.
not mean that you automatically
You're
also like
done.
does everyone mesh well together? I know that Seattle will
Yeah.
probably have like a good basis for that, but like does everyone mesh well together? Can everyone play well together? Can everyone communicate? You know,
Yeah.
what happens when one of those people gets injured? Nurse has been injured both seasons so far.
Yeah. So
Um,
was Mash. Like she missed like half the season this year. And I,
so I
I
just
was gonna
think it's
say,
interesting to look at like that perspective of
yeah.
if there's people who are looking at it just like, oh my God, these teams are stacked. There are 18 other people who need to be on this team,
Yep.
and it's not just going to be those five, although those five are
Yeah.
scary.
And I also think like when we talk about the actual expansion draft part tomorrow or Monday when they pick the next seven, there are definitely players left that like have that wow factor of like, oh my God, they took them. They're gonna be like really dangerous on that team. But they we had this whole conversation when it was Four Nations. You also need your depth players and your fourth liners and your like third D pair.
Yeah.
So they are going to have to either take those players from these teams or you just wait it out and hope your draft picks coming in fill those positions. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean you're going to lose all of your I don't want to say middle class stars, but like second tier players because there's
Yeah.
other players they need to fill out that roster to be well rounded. And I
And if
feel
you
like we're
have
also
a
forgetting that
roster,
sometimes too.
well, if you have a roster of just superstars, then you get into
We're not
like
doing
the
anything.
diva off.
Vancouver Canucks. Are you going to answer the phone? That's
Yeah,
literally what it is
kind
though. But
of.
yes. But
Like
yeah,
that's what you end up with. You're gonna have
yes.
like, well, I want more minutes. I deserve to be top line, and
Yeah, and
like
I should do yeah. Which also
the girls are fighting. Like that's what it's
you
gonna end
aren't
up
going to
with.
get that with like a four tier. Why is Bug barking?
I
I'm
don't
sorry if
know.
you can hear him.
No.
Um, you need a good four lines or at least good three, and the fourth can just kind of hang out when you need them. And then your D pairs and like I would say one good goalie, which I think both of them have, and then like whoever you put up on the tandem. But you can't just roll out those five players all the time and expect it to be your whole team.
Yeah.
But in terms of, and I will say this, in terms of getting the city excited and getting fans excited, in terms of being like, hey, we're new, come look and come see us, they are really setting them up
They're doing a great job.
very well with the rosters they're having and putting together for both of those. So, and again, everybody knows Sarah Nurse. Everybody's going to sit there and want to go see Sarah Nurse play hockey in Vancouver. I almost forgot. Hillary Knight and Alex, I just can't. The fact that they're on the same team now, again, like
Yeah.
not Team USA related, is insane. And I like would not be surprised if that's a big reason why people go to their first PW game is to see them play together. You know what I mean?
It's a shame
So
that Carpenter isn't as big of a name,
I know. I like I consider her in like that. I don't want to say like big five.
but Gen Pop,
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider her Gen
No,
Pop Big Five.
no. I'm saying like as somebody who's like knows hockey, I'm
Oh,
like
okay.
okay, yeah.
I was like,
But
not
if you
really.
ask me like women's hockey, I'd be like Poulin and Knight would be my first two, and probably Sarah Nurse. But those would be my first like three. That I'm like I know who they are because I've
Yeah.
heard people talk about them.
Yeah.
But um,
I don't really know that I have like other thoughts on the expansion. I feel like,
I'm interested to see how the rest of it goes, like how they fill
yeah,
out the rest of the roster. But I feel like the worst of it is done, like in terms of
yeah,
the shock value of it. You know what I
for
mean?
every team except for New York, I am still terrified for the last
Yeah.
two.
No, I'm still terrified a little for New York because there's enough people they could take, and then there's just nobody but Sarah Fillier and Ella Shetland. That's the whole team,
Yeah, it's gonna be
basically.
fun.
But I don't know who has more to lose between Toronto and Boston. Probably Toronto.
I was gonna say Boston.
Yeah. it's hard. I don't know, but I'm
Well,
interested to
I'm
see how they
also
fill out those 7 spots, and then who's left, and then who how the actual like draft goes after
yeah.
that.
I'll have
Because
more
I
thoughts like once we have full rosters for everybody.
yeah,
Because right now it's hard to see like where like especially like with New York like what gaps they're gonna fill and
it's so weird though. Like I was thinking about this today that for someone like I've been covering them for 2 years, well, 2 seasons because that's all they've existed for, but in my head there hasn't been a lot of like movement in like players going to different teams. So the fact that like some of these really big name players that you associate with teams are just like now I'm going to see them on the visiting team is very weird to me. Like I won't be able to process it I think until like Vancouver or Seattle comes here and then I'm like, "Oh
yeah.
my God, what the heck?"
It's gonna be like the first time like you write an article like doing
Yeah,
like a game
I'm like
recap and being like
yeah,
you're gonna be like
the
and Carpenter
trivial
scores for New York. Oh, well, that's not
stuff.
New
Oh my
York.
God. It's weird. Like I think I'm used to it in the NHL because there's so much like players move in that sport all the time, and like
Yeah.
unless you're like the cornerstone,
And even then,
yeah, like it's very, very, I guess, unlike like it's not unusual. But this one, I feel like we've only had 2 years, and we've gotten used to almost every single person, minus the rookies coming in, of being on those
yeah,
rosters. And now I'm just like, what do you mean Hillary Knight is not on the Boston Fleet? Like, what are you talking about?
it's definitely gonna be an adjustment.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Although I could you imagine like not to discredit any of the players that have like signed the new teams, but could you imagine the absolute meltdown the city of Montreal would have had if Poulin wasn't protected and then was taken? Like
Once again,
the city wouldn't exist.
military extraction would have been required.
There's it's just mind-boggling that like all the other ones are like, see ya. I don't care that you're right, Captain. Bye.
Yeah,
And Poulin just sitting there like, ha ha, can't be me. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I think when we have more of a idea on the full rosters and then however they approach the draft at the end of the month when it's the rookies.
yeah.
But and then we still have to wait to see who they actually sign that are free agents because there's a bunch of those hanging out too. So I'm just a
It's
lot's
gonna be
happening.
a lot of
It's a
movement
lot
before the
happening.
season starts.
I don't like that.
Um,
I'm okay with change. I don't like a lot of it. Can they spare me a little bit? But I love it for Vancouver and Seattle. I'm really happy for them to get the teams and get the experience and have that. It's just I'm like not processing it. It's crazy that we're already at 8 teams, 3 years. Well, will be 3 years in, and having such prominent players go to those teams, which is really great for them. I'm just like, oh my God, it's crazy. But I'm happy for that. I love everybody out there. I'm so excited for all my friends and anybody I know who goes, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait! I'm so excited for you. But yeah, who knows?
it's definitely gonna be an adjustment.
Yeah,
It's like devastating for New York, and I don't know how to like have
yeah, but I
thoughts
like
on it.
can't. It's like their own fault.
I know, I know,
Logically, it's literally their own fault. And I don't say that often that I know
I
things more than other people, but sometimes in this case, I'm like, anybody else could have seen this
We're not
coming.
alone though.
We
Like I
could
know
have, no,
Jackson Jills was like, so we're gonna talk about the elephant in the room and why
I
Carpenter
know.
wasn't protected. Like
I even,
I
I don't want to say like
understand,
Carpenter was the one that shocked me the most, but not protecting Schroeder was
and
like,
yeah.
okay, what is going on? Like, uh,
I mean, they like Osborne a lot.
yes, but you should, like, if you can't make her your starter without,
I know,
she
but
didn't really play that much, and
if your team's not producing and your defense is
mhm,
questionable,
what is she gonna
you if
do?
you don't have a goalie, you're not gonna win ever again.
Just
And
don't
you
say that.
no, but like you literally
Just
can't
sit
base a team
there.
off two players.
No, I'm actually like how many games did they even win the regular in
I
like
just how I don't I really want to like just
you
like
know like
what
that like I want to shake somebody and be like, give me the information, tell me what's going on. What is the thought process here? What is happening?
The restraint to not be like, hey, Pascal,
You know that
bestie.
you know that TikTok sound where it's like, "Hey," that's exactly somebody sounded like that, but that's exactly how I feel. Where I'm like, I could just, can you
Yeah.
just give us a little insight on what's going on?
Or if
Because
any of like
nobody
the
gets it.
quote unquote insiders could give us some insight as to why, aside from, oh, well, the culture, your
Yeah, but
culture is
like,
not going to win you a cup.
no.
It's important, but if you can't win on the ice, what you do off the ice is not going to help. I don't
What's
know.
8 + 5? 13?
Mm-hmm.
That's how many regulation wins New York has won in 54 games between 2 seasons. Regulation wins. I want to cry. I don't even want to count up the losses, but that's painful. That's
41.
so. They lost 12 last year,
If out of
13.
54
So
games, they only won 13.
in regulation, there's OT wins in there, but I didn't count that because they're like, I was counting the regulation wins.
I don't want to know.
It just, yeah, it's.
I
I hope
just,
I'm like
I really
proven
hope they,
wrong.
I would love to be
Like,
proven
you
wrong.
know how like this year when we were talking about the Caps, we're like they're gonna be so washed, they're gonna be so bad, and they come out and they almost win the President's Trophy. I want the New York Sirens to have that mentality.
It'd be
Get out,
great.
I don't care what, get out there. Because could you imagine if they made the playoffs when everybody's like, oh my god, what happened? Like
It'd be lovely. It'd be
that'd be
absolutely lovely, but it's
iconic. Listen, I'm a glass half. Unfortunately, I'm a glass half. I can't speak today. A glass half full person. So I am just gonna keep telling myself it's just gonna happen until we're at like the last game of the season, and I'm like, okay, we've already been eliminated. But in my head,
we already have the first draft pick again.
yeah, it's like okay, 3 in a row, it's fine. That's the kind of record they're going. They just want to collect all the firsts, and
Yeah.
then they're like, I'll get to
Nothing with them.
the playoffs eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the first five for Vancouver and Seattle, and then we'll know the rest post tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, not all of it, but
Most of it.
whoever else is getting pulled from the existing teams, which will be
We'll know how
14
much
more.
damage is done to the other
Yeah,
teams by the end of the night tomorrow, and then we won't know like the full scope of
the rest
things
of yeah.
until
But I
the end
think
of the
like
month.
that's a good measuring point to be like the other six have lost X amount or whoever they've lost, and like you have you have to either replenish that or recover. Like you have to pick in the draft to get players that you think are going to fix that, like those holes, or you have other people that you think they're just going to step up. Which I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know how much. I don't know. I don't know. I'll be sitting over here anxiously waiting for, like, I'm gonna be watching this tomorrow and be like, don't,
Just annoyed
Thunder.
it's at the same time as the game.
I think it's five. Isn't it 5:30?
Pacific.
Oh,
It's
is it
at
really?
8 o'clock Eastern.
Dang it.
Yeah.
Five. Yeah, 8:30. 5:30 Pacific.
Super fun.
Sorry,
Anything
NHL.
else?
I have other things to do.
Yeah,
Like,
a little bit.
um,
I feel like there wasn't a lot to
no, the
cover
only
this week.
AHL is tonight. That you might know who's in the final. The Checker's already in it. Not Vancouver. Abbotsford and Texas Stars are going to a game 7. No, game 6. Is it a game 7?
I think
I
so.
thought it was a game 6. Anyway, if Vancouver, oh my God, if the Canucks win, they advance. So that's it. But otherwise, that's like it. Everything else is done. NHL awards are this week, which we'll know like half of them by the time we get to the actual award show. But that's Thursday.
It
If
is
any of
game
you
six. I'm
care,
sorry, you are
it is
correct.
okay. That's what I
Tomorrow
thought.
would
I
be
was
a
like,
game
wait a
seven.
second. So again, I need to stop that. If Abbotsford wins tonight, they advance. If Texas wins, they go to a game 7.
Yeah.
Um, so that's that. NHL awards are Thursday. We know some of them, but not all of them. All the major ones are like part of the show, which is Thursday. And that's about it
Yeah.
off the top of my head that I can think of.
We let everyone off
I
with a
don't think
short
anything else is. It's
episode.
been like a really Well, after last week, I
It
think
really wasn't that bad. It was only like an hour 15.
no, but it felt like we were just going
I
forever.
thought
And
it was
then
going to be
this
two
week, there's like
hours.
nothing happening. It's like cup
We
final, and the
could
PWHL
chat
teams are
about
being
other things. It's
destroyed.
just whether or not we want to. But
Yeah, we might could give you a break, come back next week. 'Cause I feel
yeah,
like next week we're gonna have so much to talk about.
probably. Yeah,
But it's like a in between thing. We never know.
we'll see.
I was gonna say by the time we
Theoretically,
get back next week, the cup final could be
it
over
could be. Yeah,
if it goes 5 games.
we'll
That's
see.
a little scary.
Guys, hockey could be
Okay,
over
so
next week. I know the AHL will still be going, but like someone on Threads, I don't remember who
physical
it
hockey
was,
games.
but they were like, "Go support your local rec league," and I was like, "No." I know a lot of the men on that team, and I have no desire to go watch them play hockey. So
I don't know. I think we do have one up here, but I'm so sorry. I don't. I wouldn't do it unless I knew, like, if I was like friends with one of them. I'd be like,
we
okay,
have a
fine.
deck hockey league, and to say that I don't think I would be welcome there is probably an understatement.
Okay, valid. I get what you're saying. Okay.
And then, unfortunately, I still live in my hometown, and so I know too many people here.
You say that as
Um,
if I don't also live in my hometown. I say the same exact
I
same
think that
exact
you got
thing.
along better with people in high school than I did.
Yeah, but I don't like seeing people that I don't like. You know what I mean? Like if it's somebody I
Valid.
didn't want to see, I'm like, I don't want to see you.
Yeah.
Sorry. And my town's like all of 2.5 square miles big or something stupid like that. So it's
See, that's the
literally
problem is I live in a really
scary.
big town and still run into people I don't like. And
Mine
I'm
is
like,
worse
guys,
because mine's really, really small, and that's why I see everybody. Yours, at least, you're like, you shouldn't, like, statistically probably see people, but
you would think. And then as
you
far
would
as
think.
like the beer, like the actual like ice hockey, like beer league that we have, it's either going to be like 50-year-old men who can't skate and like no offense, but no amount of alcohol will ever make me want to go watch one of
They're trying
those.
their best.
And then part two is that if they are guys I know who are younger, no, I'm
We don't want to
okay.
interact. We
Yeah,
don't want to
no, I'm
interact.
good.
Sorry. Sorry. Yeah. I'll go watch like the Pee-wees though, like the little kids. I'll go do that.
Yeah,
It's fun because all they do is fall over and like they're trying their hardest. Like that I find entertaining. But like once you become closer to my age, I'm like, I don't, no, no, no.
no,
Unless I'm like personally friends with you, it's not happening. I'm
no.
sorry.
It's
It's
okay.
not happening.
Tennis has been super entertaining. Today's match was
I watched like the end of it. Oh my
phenomenal.
God.
Today's match was
Sorry.
so good. If you're not into tennis and you want to be, you should go like
Ken's
on
gonna start like,
demand.
oh, I was gonna say you're gonna
And
start like telling people on threads to
yeah, I
you're gonna
should.
be like, here's my
Um,
stuff. I support it.
no, but like the men's finals for the Roland Garros, which is the French Open, went a full 5 sets. It was a tiebreak in the last one. And the tiebreak for the last is 10 points. And it was an oh my God, it was just it was so good. I texted my grandpa and I was like, "Are you watching this?" And he was like, "No, I just got off the ice because this man is 83 years old and still ice skating.
Stop. I love that.
He's psychotic.
He's
I love him,
dedicated.
but oh my God, I wish I was in
He's
that
psycho.
shape at 24 that he is at 83." Um,
He's setting the example,
Seriously,
I
he's like, "No,
guess.
I just got off the ice. I'm gonna go home and watch it. Don't spoil it." And so I just got like a text at the end. He's like, "You know, these kids are your age." I'm like, "Thanks for making me feel good about myself."
I hate that. Like, stop reminding me.
No, it was like
That's
he meant it of like there's just such a
I know,
future
like it's
ahead of
amazing
these two,
to
and it
yeah,
was just
and what they're
oh.
doing.
If you think tennis is
I
boring, if you
love
don't
it.
like it, and you need something to do that's and like you can't get yourself into
Do
baseball for
people
some
actually
reason,
say tennis is boring?
yeah, I mean it can be. Um,
I feel like I only ever hear that argument about golf and baseball.
I
And
know
baseball has its moments,
I
but
really understand how tennis can be boring when it's like a
I mean,
lower
I also
end
I
match.
don't watch enough of it. I watch like the big stuff that matters, and then I'm
So
like, okay, I'll
good.
come
It's
back,
so
and
good.
then
It
I never
was
do. I used to want to play tennis, fun fact, and then I never did because at my high school, it was really stupid. Girls tennis was in the fall, and men's or boys tennis was in the spring. And I played field hockey, which was in the fall, and you couldn't
yeah.
double up. And I was
Yeah.
really mad. And I was like, I would love to play tennis. So I never did because I could not do it. But that was like my one. If I could have played another sport, I would have been like, that would have been my other sport. But I could not do it.
I find
It's
it so
okay.
funny because I didn't play tennis because I, in my head, was like, I am not good enough to play tennis on a high school level.
Kids, you could have.
No, I know. I I like had a coach when I was younger. Like I know I could have played
Yeah.
tennis.
You're like,
Um,
no.
no, we used to my grandma and grandpa, we like lived kind of near the Yale campus. And so every once in a while they would host like international tournaments. And so there used to be like, I don't know, 20-year-old Swedes staying at my grandparents' house sometimes. And I was like
Hey,
10 years old being like,
that's sick though.
they're pretty. And they're good at sports, guys. Like, come
No, literally.
on. I'm
Best of
10
both
and I'm
worlds.
like, who wants to date me?
Stop. That's like it's like what's that like the thing from like a fanfic where it's like they're totally gonna notice me and it's like in the crowd kind of thing, like
Yeah.
absolutely not gonna happen.
Oh my
But
God, I don't know who it was, but they posted like in the second row because there's a 19-year-old who shaved her whole body for this that
yes,
shoved her way to the front row. It's someone we know posted it for a concert the other day, and I was like,
it's
"You're not wrong."
literally giving that, but that's a normal experience, normal thought
Yeah,
in the
no,
process of things.
but
Yeah.
no, like I was very into tennis and then just like never played it for some reason, which like is one of the
I would
things I
have
regret.
bullied you. If I knew you, I would have nicely bullied you into playing. I would have been like, girl, shut
I
up
don't,
and get out there.
I just don't think I was like that phenomenal. Like I was good enough that I probably
No,
could have
but
done it,
like,
but
was it
then
fun?
so nothing in my childhood related to competition was fun for me. Um, if I wasn't
I
good at
get
it,
that
I
to a
had a
certain,
crash out.
okay, I get that to a certain extent.
I'm a competitive person.
But
And so that's why I
yeah,
think like with field hockey, I was like, well, I've never played it before. It's
mm,
fine. And then I ended up being really good at it. And then I quit because I refused to practice outside in goalie gear in
when it's
90
hot.
degree heat in
Yeah,
August.
that's valid.
And so I think I was like, the high school had kind of been like, you're going to come play varsity your freshman year.
You're like, LOL, no.
And I went to the camp and I looked at my dad and I went, I can't do the heat.
You know what? I love that you did that. I suffered way too long for it, so
And then I
it was okay.
played for a club team in college for 5 minutes and then COVID happened.
That's real.
So if
That's
anyone
real.
wants to pay for me to get goalie equipment, I would be more than happy. Like, okay, if we had like an adult field hockey league on Long Island, I would absolutely
That's
join.
my biggest. They're probably, knowing my luck, they're probably one that exists, and I just don't know it exists. But that's why I have it sitting in my corner over there. All of my gear,
No, I have,
my
so
stuff.
I could go
Because I'm like,
play.
one day I'll go play. Like one day I'll find a team, and like it's just I don't know where it exists in my wonderful part of New Jersey. If it does,
Yeah.
I also don't want the This sounds really mean, but I don't want the responsibility of like creating it because that's a lot of work.
Yeah, no.
But if there were to be one that exists, I would be there
Yeah.
eventually.
I like I have a player stick and a goalie stick. I think that's also what made my mom and my dad mad is that I got like a brand new like goalie stick.
Oh, I was gonna say that like regular sticks weren't even well, that was back then. They weren't even that cheap when I was in
Yeah,
high
so
school,
I
but
had
it's
a
probably
regular
now
stick
considered.
and then at some point I had gotten like a really nice like goalie stick because they're curved and have like a
Yeah.
different like
Yeah, yeah,
butt
yeah.
to it. And then I quit. So that was probably
Oh,
lovely for my parents. And then instead of
they're
being
like,
like,
all
oh, cheap
right.
hobby, I bought a really expensive professional grade violin. I don't
Oh
do
yeah.
things normally. Um,
Me. That's so me.
so and like
But yeah.
I was like one of those like naturally gifted, but like gifted enough to where it's like, oh, she's good at it, but not gifted enough to where it's like, oh, she's a
Yeah, yeah. Prodigy.
prodigy. Thank you.
Yeah, prodigy.
I would love to play field hockey again, but I don't have goalie
Yeah.
equipment because that's expensive.
I would say you don't have to be a goalie, but then it involves a lot of running,
No, but I was good at goalie.
depending. I know, I'm like, you don't have to play goalie, but then it's like a lot of running involved, which also isn't fun. So
No.
that's not fun.
For audio only people, which is
I,
most of you, I was just violently shaking
yeah,
my head no.
I don't even know how I ended up, I was always a midfielder slash wing, and I don't, well, this is like my
I do
downfall of
not
being
envy you.
small. No, but like I was just small, so I could move really fast. And I think my best friend at the time, we played together in like middle school. And we went to the same high school, so we were like, oh, whatever. And she played defense, and I never in my life ever played defense. And I was like, no, I can convince somebody. I can switch. It's fine. And I never ever convinced anybody. So I always bounced between like the midfield and wing, and I was always the one like running laps up and down the side of the field because that's all it is. And I was like, it's fine, it's okay.
The
But
worst
I was not.
thing
Yeah,
I have ever done in my life is run laps in goalie equipment.
yeah. I wouldn't. I don't see. I don't wish to do that. I just had to run all the time. But yeah, that's not. It's not fun.
Like when Bobrovsky's like, yeah, I lose like 15 pounds a game. I understand where he's coming
That's
from
real. Yeah,
because I
I couldn't
maybe
even.
maybe I should just buy goalie equipment, just go sit out in the sun for a few minutes because I think that would be a good weight loss tactic
That's
there.
probably so uncomfortable. I can't even imagine.
Yeah,
Ugh.
it would
No,
suck.
no, no, no. Yeah, I'm just that like gave that pees me out. I don't like even thinking about that. Like having to feel it. No.
No.
No. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't even get on there. Summer sports. I said yeah, summer sports. I want to know everybody's gonna. I want to know what everybody is gonna watch when hockey's not on.
F1
Because I
tennis and
feel like
baseball
most, yeah, like
and
I
the
feel like most
WNBA.
people now have a summer sport, but I like don't know what I want to know. If like, do people just not watch any sports in the summer?
I'm sure there are some people who
Like,
just don't like I'm sure that there are like casual
it
people
must
who
be
like
so
only like
nice.
one sport.
I wish that could
Yeah.
be me.
Yeah.
Like this weekend, I literally was like, because game two was Friday,
Hmm.
and then this whole weekend, I'm like, feels like I'm missing something. Like, why am I like feeling like I'm not doing something?
Well, that was
And I'm
the
like,
entire week without
there's
hockey. I was like,
no F1 on. There's no IndyCar. So I'm like, anything that I'm watching on the weekend is just not on. And I'm like, what do I do? Like, what's happening?
tennis.
My body was just like, girl, you're missing something. And I'm like, I don't know. But yeah,
You should have watched the
I didn't
five and a
last.
half hour match between
I
Carlos
watched the
Alcaraz and Yannick
last like
Sinner.
hour of it, and then I had to go and do my actual job.
That's valid.
I was not
I
involved with
turned it
tennis.
on when I was still in Connecticut this morning and watched a bit of it with my cousin. We left. I drove for about an hour, looked at my mom and was like, can't drive because the sun's too bright and I don't have sunglasses.
That's
Um,
real.
and so I'm either gonna keep squinting and like fall asleep at the wheel or you're gonna drive. And then
Hmm.
proceeded to watch the rest of the match in the car. And then I got home, took a nap, and it was still on.
Yep.
That was fun.
Yep. You literally just did like the eye twitch, like the way you looked. And, yeah. It looked like it was still on. Ugh.
Yay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I realized there's no Olympics this summer, so I'm like, what? What am I gonna do?
Huh?
It's fine. It's okay.
Figure
But
it out.
when we get there.
Yeah.
But it's about all I've got.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think there's anything else that we have to like that we've missed.
Record at least. Like we could chat, but I don't need it to be put on the
Yeah,
internet.
but I think we've covered everything that is relevant. I
Yeah.
hope. Watch me say that, and then like in 10 minutes, I'm gonna be like, I wanted to say this one thing. Well, who
It's
knows?
fine. We could say it next
But
week.
yeah, exactly.
Um,
If I remember.
we'll figure it out. All right. Well, follow, subscribe, rate, all that fun stuff. Follow us on socials if you don't already.
Mhm.
And Oilers in six, baby.
Yeah, but I say if we see you next week, I won't happen.
I'm just Oilers in
But yes,
six.
that's what we want.
It's okay.
I actually hate voicing it because then I feel like it's not gonna happen. But
We are trusting in the
that's what we
corgi.
said.
I
The universe
believe
is
the
listening to us.
corgi.
Is
Yeah.
that what the corgi said?
No, the corgi said seven.
Oh, I don't want seven.
I just want the Oilers to win. Okay?
I like six. Anyway, yeah, that's what we're going with. Corgi, I had faith in you once and you let me down. This Corgi better listen this time. That's all I gotta say.
All right. See you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.